Most of us joke that we can't survive a single day without our phones. But if you had to go off the grid, surviving in the wilderness with only the things that you could carry, would you know what to pack? Before the world went into a global lockdown because of the coronavirus pandemic, I visited the Alderleaf Wilderness College in Washington State. I wanted to learn what it takes to survive in the wilderness with nothing but my wits and whatever I could carry on me.
And the type of gear I say to have as a go bag or a survival bag would be typical camping gear. You want to think about addressing shelter, water, fire, and food. And I also want to think about like your clothing and navigation and illumination and tools and things like that. So start with like your camping gear list and then start adding things to that. So the contents of this bag are all out here, and this is a kind of a core survival bag. And then over here are some extras that might be helpful depending on what you have access to and how much room of storage you have.
You should remember the 10 essentials when it comes to your gear. First up, first aid. This is a must. You can buy kits pre-assembled, but make sure you've got things like treatment for blisters, insect protection, and wound disinfectant.
I'm going to get wounded a lot. I'm going to fall over. This is essential. All right.
Yep.
Also, most importantly, you need food. Go for high nutrient things like protein bars, but remember to replace them if your survival kit is in storage for a long time. Next up, think about sun protection for the day, things like sunscreen and protective clothes, and a head torch with an LED bulb and spare batteries for the night. And the big one, water. Take a metal water bottle so you can boil your water if you need to, but also think about other ways you could get water in the wild.
A very compact way to have clean water here is something called a survival straw. It's basically a water filter bottle with a straw on the end, so you can put this into water and suck it through, and it takes out the bacteria and the protozoa.
You'll also need to think about shelter, even if it's just a compact survival blanket, which can also act as a lo-fi raincoat. And remember extra clothing, especially for cold nights, or if you just want to stay camouflaged.
Okay.
Navigation. Don't just rely on Google Maps. A standalone GPS device is great, but make sure you also know how to use a compass. And a knife, even if it's just a small multi-tool, that can be vital. Finally, number 10, fire.
So I always recommend bring multiple ways of making fire. So you have just your standard lighter that everyone knows how to use, and then if your lighter is broken or lost or not working, this is a magnesium strip with a flint and steel on it. And so the magnesium gives you a very flammable material that you can send a spark into, and then this gives you spark that you go onto the magnesium shavings to start a fire.
Once you have these essentials, think about pulling together other items that could help in an emergency. Everything from a hand crank radio to paracord for setting up shelters or even building your own animal snares. Now that we've got our bug out bag packed, it's time to put it to use. I'm definitely a city kid, but it wasn't as hard as I thought to make a functional survival kit. And I even became a pro at building a fire, all without having to look up Google for instructions.
Oh God.
There you go. And you can put this in here as well. We can lean these sticks over. And now we got our fire.
Suddenly feeling like my clothing is really flammable. I made this. I made this.
But it did make me wonder whether our dependence on technology has made us less ready for an emergency.
Well, I think we do become reliant on it. You hear in the news almost every week about somebody getting lost because they followed their GPS into the mountains and got stuck, and then they're in a survival situation. So I think you can remember to put down the technology and remind yourself how to pay attention to the 4 directions and navigate and think about how our ancestors did things, because we all know how to survive It's just that we do become really reliant on these things, and it's just remembering what to do without them.